Hi. I had a question when I was 26 years old. Are we really human beings or human doings? Because I was always in this mode of whenever there was a challenge, whenever there was a question, what should I do? And very late in my life, I realized that I don't have control on what I should do. My actions are automatic and I have no control. And I always had this question, what is this? Why am I not in control of what I do? And I said, we are not human beings. We are human doings. And I went with this search of why we call ourselves human beings. And this search and this journey is what I will talk about and how it has helped me, especially in my professional life. So, we are all, at least I thought, that life chose me. I didn't choose my life. My parents come from a very small little village in south of India, and my father got a job in Bombay. He shifted. So, although I was born in this small little village, I grew up in Bombay. Did I choose it? It just happened. So I always thought life chooses things for me. I have no choice. I went to a Catholic school. Privileged. I'm not repenting. Privileged. I didn't choose it. Life chose it for me. So my theory was that life always chooses. I will never have a choice. Some people will like it. Some people won't like it. And this is the journey where I reversed my process of thinking as I grew up, as I matured, as an individual, as a human being, and as a professional. We're all parents. I'm a parent of I'm a child of Indian parents, and now I have children, and we are Indian parents. If you know this gentleman called Trevor Noah, he's a stand-up comedian based out of from South Africa, but now lives in the US. Gautam Adani became the second most richest person in the world, beating, I think, Jeff Bezos. And while everybody was happy, Gautam Adani himself was happy. The joke goes by Trevor Noah that his parents weren't because he's not a doctor. So, again, life chose for me. I became an engineer. There were only two options given, and I chose engineering because medicine was biology was something that I didn't like. So, I did my engineering. A lot of my friends, being an electronics engineer, went into chip design, to the Silicon Valley, designing transistors, designing hardware, and I was not a very technical person. I was wanting to do something that is related to people. I'm a relationship person. And I got a job in sales. And my father thought that here is a very mild child of mine, very timid, who will buy from him? The sales is supposed to be a conning job, lying, street smart. And I'm not. My father was very scared and worried. He's now going to sell computers, software, who will buy from him? I later on realized this gentleman is J.C. Penney. J.C. Penney is a very famous retail store, especially in the US. And he said, all of us are salespeople. We are always selling. We are selling ideas about where to party, what to do. We are always selling ideas to people. So if we want to enroll people into our lives, we have to convince, we have to sell. So sales whether you are a salesman or not, we are always salespeople. And that was a great realization. I then did my MBA after my sales job. I thought if I'm not moving into the technology field, if I'm moving into sales, MBA is a prerequisite. And I did my MBA. I got introduced to one of my best friends now, who introduced me to a science called ontology. Ontology is a science of human being. There's another science called epistemology, which is the science of knowledge. And there I realized that there's a lot to unlearn about how I grew up for the past 26 years. What is right? What is wrong? What's good? What's bad? And I was in this world of good values and bad values. And ontology was a science which taught me that can we drop all this that I have learned over a period of time and look at something that's in the zone of I don't know what I don't know. And when we look at a pie of knowledge, there is something, a small piece of the pie is I know that I know. And if I can answer that for myself at that point of time, I knew that I knew about electronics engineering or selling. I was confident that I knew it better than a lot of people. Then the second pie, which is bigger than I know that I know, is I know that I don't know. So I know that I don't know about medicine, about spacecraft, and there might be so many other things. There's a third pie called I don't know that I know. Imagine I don't know what I know. I don't know if you have an example of that. And I found one. People come and tell you sometimes, Ravi, I think you're very good at listening. And I'm like, am I? So this was the pie where people knew about what I knew, and I was realizing that am I good at these things? So that was the third pie, third piece of the pie. The fourth one, which is the biggest, 95% plus, was I don't know what I don't know. And I used to live for 26 years being an engineer, MBA, selling, behaving in every interaction, personal or professional, behaving as if I knew everything. And this science called ontology taught me there's a lot for me to unlearn and learn. Only if I allow myself to be emptied, I can learn new things. And in this process, I realized I am not Ravi Teja. And I used to introduce myself. I am this. I am Ravi. I realized my name is Ravi, but I am not Ravi. Who I am, I can redefine and transform myself. Some people say, I am love. Some people would say, I am happiness. I am gratitude. So the opportunity to redefine who I am was always there. And this course was a real eye-opener for me. I realized that there were so many distinctions that I need to learn. One of the distinctions was the difference between listening and hearing. I said, I've got 2 ears. I know how to listen. And have you heard of people telling you, Ravi, you're not listening. Hey, you're not listening. And I am. I heard that the distinction was, when I hear what I want. Remember, we have filters of how we hear. This is how bosses are. This is how spouses are. ये बच्चे तो ऐसे ही होते हैं. We hear with those filters. This is how Americans are. This is how South Indians are. Anybody that person says, I hear with these filters. And listening is to truly listen to what the other person says by removing these filters. Clear distinction. There was another distinction called fact versus interpretation. I went into office. I wished my boss good morning. He didn't reply. That was the fact. What was the interpretation? An attitude. Second day, he didn't reply. What was my interpretation? He doesn't like me. Third day, what was my interpretation? So I had these interpretations, and as human beings, we will always have these interpretations. But the fact is, he didn't reply. Interpretation is this disempowering interpretation that I had. And I had a choice. I could have made a powerful interpretation. Could have been, maybe he's going through a bad day. Maybe he started home in a bad mood. It was not about me, it was about him. So distinguishing myself, believing that my interpretation itself is the fact, was a big realization. So today I realize, when I interpret something, and as human beings will always, is that really the fact? So that was again an amazing discovery that I had to go through in this. In another one, last one before I move forward, is this whole thing about argument and discussion. The argument is when I'm arguing with people, I'm fighting with people, I realize that I'm always being right. I'm wronging people. In a discussion, in a healthy discussion, that person has an opinion, I have an opinion. We can discuss, I did not agree, he might not, he or she might not agree. We can have a healthy discussion, but it's not a shouting match or it's not an argument. So my outcomes of what I'm doing is dependent on who I am. If I'm being right, it's an argument. If I'm being fair, it's a discussion. So remember, the actions that I'm doing are controlled by my state of being. So I said, there's so much to unlearn. The prerequisite to learning, I've done learning already. School is done, university is done. But still there's so much to probably unlearn, because that becomes the prerequisite for me to learn new things. So I had to become a seeker, not a believer. If I believe in something, I'll fight for it. And we all think having that belief is important, but if I'm stuck with that belief, my opportunity to seek new things, the new reality, the new way of doing things will not be there. So this was in that zone of I don't know that I don't know. I then realized the opportunity to change. There's a famous quote by Gandhi, be the change that you want to see in others. He didn't say, do things differently that you want to see in others. He said, be the change that you want to see in others. I also realized that there's a difference between change and transformation. And transformation at least sounds more powerful than change. And if I ask you to fill in the blanks, the more I try to change a person, the more he or she will resist. Because if I'm trying to change somebody, implicitly I'm saying, you're not good enough the way you are. And nobody likes that. Nobody likes being told, I'm not good enough, so they will resist. But transformation is, we are all okay, we're all doing well, but can we get extraordinary results and be extraordinary and get breakthroughs in life by changing a plane of thinking? Not by saying that I'm not good enough, but changing my plane of thinking. And as an example, if we were supposed to start today at 10 o'clock, right? What time did we start? 12. The question is, whom to blame? There were at least a few people on time, and there were some people who are not. Whom should I blame? The typical answer is, I'll not ask you and embarrass people who came late, the typical answer is blame the people who came late because they are the ones who made this to start late. My answer is, it depends whom to blame or who should be responsible for. It depends who I am. If I am an individual and if I came late, if I define myself as an individual, then yes, I am responsible for it. But if I am TEDxDTU, I'm not an individual. If I am TEDxDTU, everybody involved, if I've redefined, remember I said we can retransform who I am. So I'm not an individual, I am this group, I'm TEDxDTU, then everybody is responsible. But the question is, how does that help? By retransforming myself as not an individual but the group, it helps because then my actions are based on who I am. If the actions are based on me being an individual, then everything that I'll do is based on, I will brush my teeth first, I will get ready, I'll have a bath, I'll take a car, and I'll come on time. But if I'm the group, I'll ensure that everybody is on time. If somebody doesn't have a car, I give them a lift. So the actions are dependent on who I redefine or who I am. And that was a great revelation for me. I also realized that what I'm going through at that age of mid-20s and 30s, when these realizations were happening, was that I want to lead. I want to lead organizations the way I want to lead, because everything was about people. While technology is important, while businesses are important, people relationships is something that I was learning. And I was telling the world, can I be in this change management business? And I don't know if you know the law of attraction. If you want something desperately, the world will conspire to make it happen for you. I wanted to be in the consulting field, and I got a job in the consulting field. I wanted to be a CEO. I became a CEO just a few years back.